Hey, so today is my day to do a bunch of cooking. And I need some scissors to open this. Okay. Anyhow, I try to cook up all my vegetables and meat for like the week. And this is frozen broccoli. Okay, I've got a pan here with some aluminum foil on it, and I've sprayed it with some Pam olive oil spray. Just gonna kind of spread these out a little bit, and I've got the oven going at it's about 375, but this oven runs hot. So I'm going to stick it down here, and I'm going to leave it in there. Actually, I don't usually put a timer on, but I'd say it takes anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes to roast that broccoli. And oh, it just has the best, sweetest flavor. Also, it doesn't stink the house up like if you boil it or steam it. Okay, and then I've got some summer squash and some zucchini, and I'm going to make those into ribbons in just a minute, and I'm going to roast those. Okay, so I've got the zucchini and the yellow squash. I cut off just the little ends, and I'm going to stick it on there, and we'll turn it on. This is so cool. And then I'm left with this little piece. I can never resist this. Okay. I'm gonna take this I've got another pan prepared. Got aluminum foil on it, sprayed with Pam. Look at this. Is that cool or what? I'm just going to kind of pull it out here. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. Okay. I'm going to do some more. I'll spread it around the pan. Then I'll roast it too, along with the broccoli in there. Okay, now I've never roasted, here's the yellow squash all ribboned up. I've never roasted this before. I've made yellow squash and zucchini, you know, just like where you would slice it the long way and bake it in the oven. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm thinking though, I'm going to give it a little spray of this Pam olive oil spray. Just, I don't know. It just seems like the right thing to do. Just a little bit. And I will pop it in the oven with broccoli. We'll have to come back later, see how that turns out. Okay, so I decided to spiralize the zucchini because I really like to have it like a little salad. But I thought I would try roasting some of it to see how it turns out. Oh dear. All right. And just a little bit more. It's okay, my hands are clean. But, you know, what do you care? You're not eating it, I'm the one that's gonna eat it, right? Okay, so when we get some room in the oven, whoops, I'll put this in. We'll see how it does. So, here's the broccoli. Still has a ways to go. Here's the yellow squash. I think some of it's getting a little brown. It is putting out quite a bit of moisture. Of course, you know, squash does that. We'll just see how that does after a while. Okay, so you know what I decided to do? I've got a lot of meat to cook. I still got the zucchini and the yellow squash and the broccoli in the oven. So I've got a cup and a half of cottage cheese here. I've got spiralized zucchini and yellow squash that I thawed out yesterday, and I've got Skinny Girl raspberry vinaigrette dressing over it. Gonna measure out a cup and a half of this and eat it. Ooh. Eat it with my cottage cheese. Ah, there we go. Okay, so that'll be lunch because I don't feel like cooking up a bunch of meat real quick right now. I'd rather wait and do it later and then, you know, have all this stuff I'm trying out in the oven later. So this is a very nice sort of one container lunch. Yep, I'm gonna eat it right out of the measuring cup. Why not? Why mess up any more dishes, right? Okay, I'll be back. It's really good. Righty. So you can see, ooh, the broccoli's nice and tender. It's got some little brown edges on it. That's great. Let's see what we've got here. Ooh. Okay, so we have some, you know, round edges that's still moist, especially the parts that have a lot of seeds. I think that's done enough. I think I'm gonna take that out. So I've taken this stuff out of the oven. I popped in that spiralized zucchini. We'll try to give that a little roast. So when this cools off just a bit, I will put it into containers and then I'll pop my meats in the oven. Okay, I had to try just a little bit of that roasted yellow squash ribbons. Oh my goodness. The little browned edges almost taste like a potato chip. And then there's the softer part. Very sweet. Oh, this is a keeper. So I put foil in the pans, not only to help keep the pans from getting burned on stuff, makes them a lot easier to clean, but also, let's see if I can do this, it makes it easier to get everything transferred. Oh, there goes a piece for the dog. Yep, she likes it. To get everything transferred into a container afterwards. You know, I call myself the reluctant cook. Part of what's reluctant about me is I don't like dirtying up a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be dirtied up when you're cooking. For instance, you know, I didn't want to use a spoon or a fork or however, you know, so I just poured it with the foil. Works. And you know what I'm going to do with this, okay? I'm just going to set it right on top because I'm going to let everything cool off. You know, it's cool enough to touch now. I'm going to let it cool off the rest of the way in the fridge, and then I'll divide some of it up to freeze and some of it to eat today, tomorrow, the next day. Now, I'm very aware of or try to be, of environmental things, and so I use the foil so I don't have to waste water washing these pans every time. But I also reuse the foil. This is the foil that the broccoli baked in, and I've given it just a little more of a spray with the Pam olive oil. And now I'm taking my pork chops and I'm laying them on the foil, and I'll bake those. So I've got my pork chops, gave them a little spray with the Pam on top, put some smoked paprika and garlic, and into the oven they will go. And no, I don't put it on a timer, and the reason is I will spend this whole, well, it's not a whole afternoon, it's going to end up being maybe a couple of hours with stuff in the oven and, you know, dividing stuff up, freezing some, putting the rest in the fridge. So I'm checking the oven all the time anyway, so I'll be able to check and see when it's done. And then I also have some chicken that I'm going to get ready and put in there too. So I mentioned that I try to be environmentally aware, and I know today I've been using this Pam aerosol spray. I normally don't do that. I'm trying to use this up so I can get rid of it. I use these Pam pumper sprays, which don't have any bad stuff in them. So what I've done, now I'm on the 4, 2, and 1, so I get a few things that you don't get on the 5 and 1. I've got a little almond flour in here, which is nothing more actually than just ground up almonds. But it's considered, you know, I have to count it in. And you can count it in too, but I'm not going to go through all that because depending on what plan you're on, you get different amounts. And I also put some oregano, garlic, what else did I put? Oh, onion powder and a little smoked paprika. I'm going to take the chicken, shake it up, and then lay it out in my pan. So let me tell you what the one really difficult part of all of this is when you're making all this stuff on one day. You can't eat it all one day. In fact, I usually get fish to eat on the weekends, although I had that cottage cheese with the zucchini today because it was, you know, just kind of simpler, and I was ready for a meal. But the hard part is that after I prepare all this great food, I'm going to have to pack it up because I've got my fish to eat. So now, and yeah, I clean all these surfaces off with disinfectant when I'm done, you bet. So I've got chicken thighs here, skinless, boneless chicken thighs, and I'm laying them out. Some have more of the little sort of crumb mixture that I made than the others. But the nice thing is that as they cook, because as you know, chicken thighs, they're a little fattier than white meat, and consequently we only get 5 ounces of the chicken thighs rather than 6 if it was white meat. So what happens is it's going to put out some juices, and even the pieces that might not have gotten a whole lot of the spice and crumb mixture will still get the flavor from sitting in that juice. And I'm going to have to disinfect my phone. So those pork chops, oh, they're doing so nicely. That zucchini, it's just not done yet, so I'm going to have to wait a bit to put this chicken in. Well, you know, I'm not going to waste any more time. This is basically like the ribbons, but I think the ribbons actually work better. Anyway, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other maybe. I'm going to pop in the chicken. Righty. So these pork chops are doing real well. They're very close to being done. That chicken is looking real good. I'm gonna take its temperature in just a minute. So the whole thing, once the meat is done, which should be in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and I'll let it cool off and put it away. So basically the whole thing will have taken me actually 2 hours. I could have done it faster if I wasn't stopping to video this and that. But basically 2 hours to prepare all of my food that I'm going to need next week. Let me add that I do have salad in the fridge to supplement my veggies. In my freezer, in case I run out, I've got turkey and ground beef frozen. And I have got cauliflower pizzas, maybe 12.5 of them. So, because I eat 4 fuelings a day, 2 lean and greens, and then a healthy snack. And it's a different kind of snack than you have the 5-in-1. It's a little bit more calories. So anyway, I'm going to stop here. And you can do this too. I mean, when you think about it, it just took a couple of hours. And sure, I had to shop for it, but you got to shop anyway, right? And I had to cook it. Well, I don't want to be cooking every day or every couple of days and dirtying things up and spending the time. I want to do it all at one time, freeze it or have it in the fridge, thaw it out, microwave it, ready to eat. No waiting around. So that's me, the reluctant cook. Have a great day.